Hello and welcome, guys, to the first YouTube video of this channel. I am the sev7en and I am a professional screenwriter and director. So basically, just wanted to make this little introduction to say that this channel is not exactly about all about video essays. Obviously, I'm still figuring it out, but yeah, just if you have any ideas, any movies that you'd like me to review, just leave it in the comments, and I'm excited to start this new project. Well, today I wanted to talk about Seven, directed by David Fincher. Is one of my favorite movies of all times. I think really the tone, the story, and that ending that is pretty iconic is all things that make it really special. But I wanted to talk about the ending specifically because I don't know how many of you guys know it, but the ending was originally a different one. What? But we'll get into it in a moment. So, for those of you who do not remember very well what this movie was about, Seven is about two detectives who are Somerset and Mills. Somerset, played by the legendary Morgan Freeman, and Mills, played by Brad Pitt, at the peak of his career. Well, not exactly, right, because Fight Club came later, so you could say the peak was later. But basically, these are two different detective Mills that comes into town. There's a new young blood, and Somerset, who is the veteran detective. He's tired of life. He's cynic about life. He thinks that people are, inherently bad, and how could he not? He has lived all his life seeing how people commit heinous crimes of violence, and that's all he sees, right? I mean, in this movie, the city of where Seven takes place is not exactly laid out for us. I think the director has said in an interview that it is not like any city specifically, right? It's like a mix between like New York and maybe like Chicago. So a bunch of cities that had a lot of crime at that time. Yeah, but basically, like you would think it as an like I forgot the name of the city of Batman, right? That I'm trying to remember. Was it Arkham? No, Arkham is the name of the prison. Okay. Tangent aside, right? Gotham is the name of the city. Sorry, I know some of you guys must be screaming at your screens right now, but yeah, basically they wanted to make this new city where all you saw was like crime, and so we get this character, this very played out character sometimes, but very specific to the story. That is Somerset, right? He's a cop. He doesn't want to be a cop or detective anymore. He actually wants to retire. And then those are where the killings start happening, right? So there's the killer that basically his whole brand is he kills people who have committed capital sins, right? In his eyes. So that can be gluttony, rage, and they start discovering these crimes, right? At the beginning of the movie, Detective Somerset, he actually tries to quit because he's at a breaking point. He doesn't have any faith left in humanity, and he just doesn't want to do anything with it. Um, but as the movie advances, he's forced to keep going on the case. He actually gains a little bit back of that, that trust in humanity through Detective Mills, and that's why he stays in the case, right? He wants to help. He has that sliver of hope left. As the movie goes on, we keep seeing more and more of these killings. And well, spoiler alert for those of you who have not yet seen the movie, the killer actually, uh, he takes himself to the police commissary and he gives in, right? So this is about the midpoint of the movie. We're not really sure why he has done it. At this point, I think there's one or two killings left, and then we have the legendary scene, right? What's in the box? So they take this killer John Doe out into the field, and that's when he says Detective Mills. He starts saying, I know you have a wife, I know you have a kid, and I know because I have been looking at you, I have been studying you, and it turns out that he gives in a box. And what is in the box? It is the head of his fiance, of her fiance, that by the way was pregnant with their new baby. So obviously it's a really crude scene, and the last crime that is left for him to commit is rage, right? So he says, "Become rage, or wrath," I think it is, right? And so we have this beautiful and masterful scene where he's just saying, "Come on, Detective Mills." He's struggling with his dark side, and this is what matters, right? This is the crucial detail that Fincher changed. And by the way, you guys can let me know if this is something that you think he did right or wrong. But before I get into what he changed, let me speak to you a little bit about theme and what it is. Basically, the theme of the movie is what lies underneath, right? When you are writing a screenplay, you have the plot, which is, the actions that are happening on screen, the events that are making the plot move forward. And so, for example, this can be Detective Mills, they get a clue, right? Or they find a new killing, and then they see the Bible and they get another clue, right? So these are all the little things that happen inside the movie, all the events that happen that basically push the plot forward. And now this could be anything, right? I mean, if we take Jurassic Park, then we can say, well, the plot of the movie is a bunch of people go to an island and then they get attacked by dinosaurs. It is a thing that lies on the surface. Now, theme is what the filmmakers wanted to communicate, the idea that they wanted to explore, and the theme and the plot are completely unrelated, right? Not entirely, because the plot does support the theme, and it should if it's a good movie, but they don't have to be in the same line. Again, if we go back to Jurassic Park, for example, as I said, the plot is very straightforward, right? So a bunch of people go into an island that's full of dinosaurs, they escape, and then chaos ensues, right? And if I told you what is the movie about, right? That is a question that you have to, make to yourself when you're seeing a movie and you want to determine its theme. What is the movie about? Well, at first glance, you'd say, well, it's a bunch of people that go and get trapped into an island and dinosaurs. But no, that's actually the plot, right? The theme would be what is he trying to say? So if we look at Jurassic Park, it's about a man who does not want to have a family, right? We get that like in the beginning. He doesn't want to have kids, and it is about him coming to recognize the importance of family, and it is about a found family movie, right? If we see about it, I don't remember the name of the kids, but the whole movie it's about how Dr. Grant, I think was his name, right? How he gets with those kids, he protects them, and by the end of the movie, if you see, and this is very telling for a lot of movies, you gotta see how it starts and you gotta see how it ends, right? It ends with them in the helicopter, flying away through the horizon, and they see a family of birds flying by. So that is really interesting, right? In a movie that's at the surface about people surviving dinosaurs, what it's really about, it's about finding family, it's about the importance of family, it's about, fighting for something else other than yourself. And so in that case, we have a lot of supporting characters that basically, you know, some are for that vision, some others are just wanting to do like chaos and go for themselves, like the antagonist, right? The one that has the leather jacket. I forget his name right now, but yeah, you have like a big theme, and obviously, in movies you have many themes, not just one. But I just wanted to exemplify that. So coming back to Seven, if I were to ask you what is the theme of Seven, well, at the surface, right, it's about two detectives that wanted to catch a killer that is, doing it because he is thinking that these people need to be punished, that this world is ugly, and they have to stop him, right? But if we go back to what I said, let's look at the beginning of the movie. What is the thesis that is presented to us at the beginning of the movie? Somerset is a detective that is done with the world, that is tired, he wants to retire, and he has lost faith in humanity. In a way, Somerset and our killer John Doe have a lot in common. They both think the world is evil, I mean, Somerset is tired, but the killer is just kind of trying to fix it in its own way. So that is where we start. But at the end of the movie and through the movie, Somerset gains that trust in the world back. Why? Because Detective Mills gives him that trust back in the world. Because he shows him that things can be different. There's also this scene, at Detective Mills' house where he meets his wife, right, Tracy, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, and they have dinner, and the subway comes around and it shakes all the house. That is one of the first times we actually see Detective Somerset happy in all the movie. So clearly, that is where the arc is going. It's saying, hey, listen, not all people are bad. There's still hope in the world, and hope is represented by Mills, right? He's a young blood. He's the future of this world. So in the end, if we go back to the last scene of the movie, when Mills gets there, he gets and says, "Well, what are you gonna do, Detective Mills?" When he finds out his wife is dead, what does he do? He kills John Doe. He becomes Wrath. And now this is the thing, and this is what it doesn't work as good for me, even though I still love the movie. The theme, in theory, it still is people and this world is bad, but it's still worth fighting for. I don't remember the exact words, but you can go back and look it up. That is how it ends. It is a voiceover of Detective Somerset saying, listen, this world is bad, but it's still worth fighting for. Now, the reason this doesn't work is because that's not what we see in the movie. If we think about it, if you are a detective that is at the brink and that just believes the world is bad, if the person who you thought was that, speck of light gets corrupted, then what is left, right? I mean, that's not a bad ending because it is quote unquote sad, right? It's because it does not support the theme, right? It's saying this detective, Mills, is the hope, right? He is why Somerset believes again. And he goes and becomes Rat. He goes and becomes the violence that Somerset hates. And then we are supposed to believe that Somerset just sees that and goes, okay, I still believe in the world. No, because if that were the case, Somerset there should be a sad ending, or the quote unquote, yeah, like bad ending for Somerset, where he actually loses faith in the world. Now, why does this happen? Coming back to the original screenplay, the person who killed John Doe is not Mills, it is Somerset. Now, this is seemingly small change, but it is actually huge. Seeing the original screenplay, it plays out exactly the same up until the point that Mills is pointing the gun at John Doe, and then Somerset goes ahead, takes the gun. No, he doesn't take the gun, he fires before Mills gets the chance to, killing John Doe and freeing Mills from that responsibility. Now, why does this matter? Let's think about it. Thematically, we are saying that Mills is the light of this world, right? Somerset is an old, jagged man, and he realizes at that point that if he doesn't do it, Mills would do it. But worse than, if Mills is the one that kills John Doe, then the good man will be corrupted, hope will be lost, and he cannot allow that to happen, right? And he does not kill John Doe out of rage or wrath. He kills John Doe out of protecting his friend, his integrity, his soul. That's why it matters, right? And that's when it works. Even though we still have one of our detectives killing the killer, it was never about him living, right? Or saying, oh, I forgive you. It was about protecting what he saw as the hope of the world, right? Saying, if Mills is corrupted, then everything is lost, and the only way I can stop that is to take it myself. And honestly, guys, I think that that works better for me. Thematically, it works better, and the reason why you can really see that Fincher's thought the same thing is because he added that voiceover in the end, trying to fix his mistake. Now, why he did it the way he did it, we'll never know. My guess is Brad Pitt, he was a recognizable face at that time. He wanted to have that big moment for that character, but he failed to understand how it would change the movie thematically. Um, but I still love the movie, and I wanted to hear what you guys think. I think it's really interesting. There's really a lot of cases of directors making little tweaks to the movie, and this is why it's important to understand what the story is, where it is coming from, and what exactly it's trying to say, right? Because the way you started, and especially the way you ended, will basically mean what the theme of your movie actually becomes, right? Or what the thesis is. But anyways, guys, that's enough for me for this first video. I hope you guys liked it, and if you have any recommendations, I already have a lot of movies in mind. Actually, I want to be uploading a video per day. Let's see how that goes. But you guys can leave me any suggestion down in the comment box, and I'll see you next time. So thank you.